Today we are going to be talking about dividing by 2 digits. So our divisor in the past has only been 1 digit. Now we're starting to use divisors that are 2 digits. I will be showing you 3 different methods to solve these problems. The first method that I will be showing you is the digit by digit method, or Mrs. Olson and I like to call it the old school method. So we have our problem, 448 divided by 32. Notice that our divisor now has 2 digits. So our first step in this problem is to round the divisor. Since it's 32 and that 2 is 4 and below, you stay down low. So that 32 would round to 30. And then you ask yourself, our second step is to estimate the first digit. We know that 30 won't go into 4, but if we rounded the 44 to 40, we know that 30 divides into 40 about 1 time, making sure that we put the 1 above the second 4 since we know that 32 wouldn't go into 4. For step 3, you would multiply and subtract. So instead of multiplying the estimation, the 30, you would actually multiply the 32. So you would take 32 times 1 in your head and get 32. Then you would subtract and bring down your 8. We will use our estimation again to think about how many times 30 would go into a number that was close to 128. Well, we know that 3 would go into 12 4 times, so let's give 4 a try. Now we'll multiply the exact number times the 4 and get 128. Well, we know that works, so then we finish our problem and we see that we don't have a remainder. Here we have the same problem, 448 divided by 32, but now we are going to solve it using the expanded notation method. So we would start the same way we did in the digit by digit, or the old school way, by estimating our divisor, and we would round it to 30. Then we estimate the first number in our dividend, and instead of thinking of it as 448, we would round it to 400, because we're looking at it as a whole digit, or a whole number in our expanded form, instead of just the digit by digit method. So we're thinking, how many times would 30 go into 400? And we know that it would fit in about 10 times. So we would put our 10 up top, and then we would multiply with our exact digits. So we would take the 32 times 10, which most of us can do that in our head. We would just add a 0 to the 32 and get 320. Next, we would subtract, just like normal, and we have nothing left to bring down, so we are moving on to our next step. Now you're asking yourself how many times 30 would fit into 128. Well, we know 3 would go into 12 4 times, so let's try 4. Then you take your exact number, 32, times 4, and you get 128, which is what we have here. It works. You put your 128 down there after you've multiplied, and you see that you get 0 for a remainder. But we still have our quotient written in expanded form. So we have to combine this expanded form, and 10 plus 4 would be 14. The last method I'm going to show you is the place value sections method. We have our same problem, 448 divided by 32, and you're actually doing the exact same steps as you did with the expanded notation method. So you're going to take 32 and estimate it to 30, and think to yourself, how many times would 30 fit into 400? We do that in our mind because we look at that first digit, and we know that 30 won't fit into the 4, but 400, 40 would fit into, or excuse me, 30 would fit into. And we know that 30 would fit into 400 10 times, and then you multiply 10 times 32, because you have to multiply by the exact number, not the estimate. The estimate is just helping us get the numbers or get to where we need to go or to get close to where we need to go. So you're taking 10 times 32 and getting 320 for your answer. When you subtract, you get 128, and then you're adding another place value section. And you'll move this to this box. Okay, and you're thinking about how many times 30 would fit into 128, or how many times 3 would fit into 12. Let's try 4, and then you're taking the exact number times the 4 to get your exact answer instead of the estimated answer. And when you take 32 times 4, you get a 128, and you subtract and see that you do not have a remainder. Now we have our quotient, but it's still in expanded form, so we have to combine it to standard form, and we know that our answer is 14. Mrs. Olson and I don't expect you to be experts at all 3 methods, but pick a method that you think would work best for you and learn the ins and outs of that method. If you're confused about any of these methods, go back and watch the videos again, and so you can master one method.